Hello, everybody. This is the All In podcast with Nate Peo. I, of course, am Nate Peo, your host. So the next episode we have coming up is our guest. We have a special guest, Sanjay Poojary from Saya Life. Sanjay is another guest that I know from Taj Eldridge, the director of LA Cleantech Incubator. Sanjay is in the startup world, and he's got a device that does submetering and also does leak detection. That's for those of you that don't know what that is. Basically, if you live in an apartment or some other residence that doesn't have its own water service or a water meter, and it's branched off from the main meter into a bunch of sub meters, it tracks how much water you're using so that the utility companies can bill you appropriately. And then leak detection is technology that's being infused into the building industry right now to help conserve water by detecting when you have water leaks, such as a pipe leak or other type of leaks like your toilet's running, that type of stuff, and give you notifications. So he's got a bunch of cool stuff going where it's using technology and artificial intelligence to really, I think, change the world of consumption and better products, better uses, and improve your lifestyle. And it also helps apartment developers or anybody that owns property knows that if you have a water leak, you're going to have a ton of water damage and it's very expensive. So this helps eliminate a major, major problem. Sanjay is going to talk about his journey of becoming an entrepreneur. He's not from America. He talks a little bit about his story of coming from India to America, wanting to become an entrepreneur, and the tough battles it takes to become one. And also just how important your networking, your connections are to take an idea where you don't know anything about something and make it a reality. And of course, getting out there and selling it to the end user. So I think you're really going to find a lot of value in this interview. The startup world is something I have passion about, and it's just amazing to see people come up with great ideas and implement them. Super exciting stuff, and it's not for the faint of heart. So anybody wants advice on how to get started, this podcast is for you, this episode particularly. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Sanjay on. And at the end of the show, if you like it, you find value in it, please subscribe to the show, leave a review or a comment, something like that. Helps us get better. So we whatever. We just want to get better for you and provide a ton of value. So let us know what you want to hear about. Anyways, here's Sanjay.
Want to go far in business and in life? You can't do it alone. The secret is expanding your network of personal relationships, building friendships, connecting on an intimate level, away from the office, over a coffee or cocktail. Welcome to All In with Nate Peo, the show that asks what happens when you go all in and leverage the power of your network of personal relationships.
Hey, Sanjay, so thanks for coming on the show. Really glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So, Sanjay, we know each other through the Lacey Incubator, which is LA Cleantech Incubator. And the incubators, for people that don't know, is a place where startup companies come to refine their ideas, and they work with experts in the field that are brought in to help companies succeed in the startup world. And you have an interesting product. The incubator you're in is for Cleantech, and your product has to deal with water conservation, leak detection, and some cool stuff that it's working on, and we can get to that in a bit. But where I want to start with your story is, like, what made you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and why did you decide that Cleantech was the space you wanted to be in? Because it's not that sexy Facebook status space a lot of people that are doing startups are involved with.
So why did I want to get into this crazy world? Interesting question. Yeah. So I started, I came into this country in 96, and I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I came as a student, went through that process of getting, my first job, getting a green card. There's a whole process in this country as an immigrant, but always wanted to do a startup. So I know to do a startup, you need to have money. There is always this one thing, startup requires some amount of capital in order to be successful initially, or you need to have a good network. Your networking is important. You need to have a good set of people who believe in what you're doing, and you build that up over time. So having a strong support system and a network, family and friends to help you initially.
When you moved to the United States, you came from India, right?
Yeah, I came from India, and then my dad had he was working in a company in Thailand, and then I worked a year or two over there, and then I came to America to do my master's.
Did you have friends and family and a network of connections when you first moved here, or were you kind of like?
I had some friends. I had my sister was here, so she was already working in this country. She studied here, and she was working at in a semiconductor company. She's an engineer too. Yeah. So I came here. I wanted to do a startup when I was in India and when I went to Thailand as well. But then when I came to America, that was the first thing. I didn't really want to do more studies. I wanted to just go in and do some, start my own company. Yeah, that was my.
But you didn't start your own company to begin with. Where did you start your career?
My first job was at Connexent. I was a systems engineer, working building voice over IP solutions, and then I worked in multiple other companies. The longest time I spent was at Cisco, where I learned about IoT. That they started Internet of Things with Home Central and other products. Controlling light switches, turning on and off stuff remotely. All the IoT stuff that you see today. Cisco acquired Linksys. I worked at Linksys for a few years. We worked on a lot of home Wi-Fi type of products. Very familiar with all the Belkin type of solutions as well. But while I was going through that journey, I was trying to figure out, what's the real solution that's required out there. And I wanted to always build what's an earthquake kit. California is earthquake prone. So in my mind, I was thinking, if you have a solution that could shut off water, electricity, and gas when there is an earthquake, it would save lives. So that was my starting point to start thinking about building something around that. And I was, brainstorming it with friends. I had some really brilliant folks that I used to interact with even when I was at Cisco. And I always believed that a lot of people have great ideas, but it's about taking the steps to execute and make it happen is where it takes a lot of effort, and you need to come out of your comfort zone to do that, because you get comfortable in a job where you're getting a good salary, you get bonuses, you're doing well, and then to stop that and go and do something that is way outside your comfort zone, where you have to struggle to make it, that is the tough part. And for me, I think I did it. I was still working when I started brainstorming how to do this. I had some experience because I worked at Cisco and I was sent to China for a year and a half. So I managed a team in China. I understood manufacturing process. Then I joined another startup where I quit my role as a software, managing a software team, development and testing, and I went into product development, so I understand the marketing and sales aspect of things. It's funny because when I was working at Cisco and we used to build all these cool products, I would think it's a great product, it should just sell on its own. What do these guys do in sales and marketing that's so great? Because I didn't have that exposure to that, but
it's one of those things where you go, hey, this is going to fly off the shelves. I'm solving a great problem or an interesting problem. People are going to want this. But you find out that people, don't know about it. And if they don't know about it, they're not going to buy it. And that's where,
and it's a lot more. It's a lot more than that, because I worked like almost 9 months out of my garage, and I had some prototypes. And I went my first meeting through a friend who worked at a large insurance company. I went and I pitched to them. They all liked that idea, but then nothing happened after that. So then I was looking around for an incubator to see if someone told me that if you go through an incubator, you get a good sense of how to take a product from a prototype out into the market. So that's when I went and pitched at the Cleantech Incubator. There were a bunch of EIRs over there who evaluated my pitch, and they liked it. So then I started there in November of 2016.
Now, how did you find the LA Cleantech Incubator? Did you know anybody over there before you started pitching?
No. So what I was doing, my approach initially was, hey, this is an insurance product, because a smart water management solution is a risk management
just
solution.
So everybody knows a little bit more about your products, we haven't really talked about it. Can you give the 10,000 foot overview of what Saya does and what the product offers, and then kind of go into your story here?
Yeah, so we are the only AI sub-metering platform out there that not only does metering, but it also predicts and detects anomalies before it becomes a catastrophic event. So sub-metering has been out there for a very long time. There are a lot of companies that do sub-metering. We bring an IoT spin to that. We add risk management. We provide a dashboard with almost a GIS system for property managers, so their facilities team can react to issues that are happening within the property. We focused very much on multi-dwelling type of setup for sub-metering and risk management, just because there is a pull. One of the things I learned at the incubator is to find a solution which has a push and a pull type of model, or you need a channel to go to the consumer. So we focused on multi-dwelling type of setup for that reason. And we spent an extra year to get our product certified. There's a whole bunch of certifications and testing that needs to be done in order to get this product certified through weights and measures and the NSF certification for drinking water. So there's a lot of things you need to go through before you can be successful.
Yeah, I think you have an interesting, you're in a space that's not necessarily super tech, which is plumbing and water and flows, and you're taking a method that's been around for a lot of years, and you're applying smart technology to it that detects, if you have leaks, if you're using too much water, and you're gathering data and you're putting it into a solution that you can do stuff with the data. You can figure out how to save money by using less water, discover leaks if you don't have leaks, so they can be fixed. And I know when you're working with the LA Cleantech Incubator, which is also associated with LA DWP, which is Department of Water and Power, you're working with some really smart engineering folks that help guide policy and help guide water conservation. And they're also not necessarily in sales too. So you have this idea, and you bring this idea to these engineers, and they're like, "Hey, this is great stuff. Here's how we can help you develop it. Here's how we can help you engineer it. Here's the problems you're going to face in real life," and they're helping you with that. But at the other end of the spectrum is you have who is going to buy this product, who is going to use this product. And, if you're focused on multifamily dwellings, it's going to be developers, builders, contractors, plumbers, all those kinds of people. And they're in a completely different space of, they're not always engineering savvy. They're more high level, what are the products? We don't need to know how to build a watch. We just need to know what time it is. And you're taking this great idea and trying to get in front of people that don't even know it might exist. So how do you kind of essentially get out of the engineering space and get into the world of making, inroads in an industry that's you're not familiar with, especially when you're coming from Cisco, which is, a big company that's been around for a lot of years in telecoms and communications and tech, and then home building and residential construction is this industry that's usually like 10, 15 years behind the rest of the world in adopting technology. And they still do a lot of things the old fashioned way, which is, who do you know? And word of mouth referrals.
I think the bottom line is all in the economics, right? So everybody wants to save money, make their work more efficient. So I have to give a lot of credit to the folks at the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. They had some good programs out there and some really good people, especially around marketing. I got a lot of support from Tom White, one of the persons over there, Taj, Tracy, Bob Musselman. There are a lot of people you can go and talk to them, try to understand how to skin this, peel the onion, if you will, how to get into that one thing right on the top of the pyramid that's important that creates a pull for your product. So I think trying to talk to your customers, try to understand what problems they're solving, rather than trying to sell a product directly to the customer.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to provide value and they understand it and they see that need, then it becomes a lot easier. And then it's just a matter of the economy of the transaction. It has to make sense as well eventually.
Yeah.
And if the product works and if everything fits for both ends, then it makes sense in the end. It's solving a problem that is it allows them to generate revenue indirectly, and it affects all the stakeholders, if you will, in that economy of water. You have the utility companies that are looking for something. They keep sending you marketing materials to save water. If we can gamify our dashboard or app where the utility company gets some information from there, which they can use to provide better service for their customer, or the insurance company, if we are able to show them risk management. We are talking to a lot of insurers. I'm part of an accelerator in Upward Labs in Hartford, Connecticut. There are all these insurance companies here. They're looking for this type of data. And then the property manager, I'm talking, I'm doing projects where we are talking to the property managers and the facilities team, and they tell us the type of problems that they see, and we are able to, give them solutions that make their job easier. And we're looking at, feedback and giving them better solutions as we go along.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a name, in it's Taj Eldridge, and he runs LA Cleantech Incubator. And I've had other people on the podcast too that, this guy is the central point of how I know people within the Cleantech Incubator, and he knows a ton of other people. And I think that goes to show the importance of having key people in your corner that have the connections to put you in front of the right resources. So,
absolutely.
Taj is going to get you in front of engineers to help refine your product, to make it a better, useful solution, provide value in that. But he's also got to get you connected to people outside the industry, the end users, and take meetings. So, Taj sent me your information, said, hey, this is, another company we're working with. They got a pretty cool idea. You want to meet with them. And I get pitched a lot of ideas, and this isn't the first time I was pitched on, hey, this is a leak detection system. It's going to do this or that, or it's some type of smart sub-metering thing. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to take the meeting, because Taj is usually pretty smart about, people that are good that you want to meet with. And so I met with them, and or I met with you, and because I was open to the idea of like, hey, somebody in my network is recommending me talk to you. Now I'm hearing about your company, and you provided, some value. You combined some existing technologies that hadn't been combined in a way I'd seen before. And it's like, hey, this is, fantastic use. Let's investigate it further. So I think that right there is a perfect example of why everybody needs a good, strong network of connections. Like you as the entrepreneur, you need connections to get your product done. Myself as a buyer of products, I need connections of where I'm going to find these products. And then, somebody that's in between, the go-between is out there connecting people with, as a startup, you're looking for people that can help you build a product, people who can invest in the company, and people who are going to be end users or customers. So there's 3 points, and he's out there, playing chess, who he can put you in front of, who he can make it. So, that's really where you go, hey, you never know where your connections are going to go, where they're going to lead you, where they're going to take you. But knowing people helps get you in front of the people you might need to be in front from the future. So I think that's something that you just can't stress enough, the importance of it.
Absolutely. Nate, without connections, it's very difficult to, build your network, put your message out there. You need people on your side to, first of all, believe what you're doing, and then take that message forward to their connections. And then you just don't know how, it compounds the message going across, and then the feedback we get just helps us improve our product and bring, better value to the customers.
Yeah. So I have to ask you, what was going through your mind? You have a career, you have a steady paycheck, you probably have benefits and all this stuff that, going on, you're able to support for your family. And then you decide, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go build a product that, I think is a good idea, but the market hasn't proven it's a good idea, and go work for free for a bunch of years developing this and hope it takes off. What's kind of like your mindset of going from, I guess, safe and secure to I'm pursuing my passions, and this is something, I feel like that's strongly enough that I need to go out and do it?
Like I said before, I've always wanted to have a startup and do something on my own. And so I've been planning for it for a lot of years. I've tried to have some capital on the side just so that I can survive. If I don't have a job, I can survive for a year and a half. And I told my wife, this is it. I'm going to just quit now. We have taken care of some of the finances. It requires some planning. And you need to also talk to some of your family and friends and make them believe in what you're doing. They say family, friends, and some fools,
Yeah.
So you need to get some of these people involved early on so that you have a support system to get you to your prototype and then find some initial customers. So it was tough. It's like climbing up the mountain. You get halfway up and then you look down. You're like, it's hard enough, to go down, so might as well keep climbing up. You get to a point where you just keep trying to do your best. But I think it's important to have a network of really, good people who know the industry, who know the different aspects of how to make a company successful, and you need to take their advice, and you need to talk to a lot of people. You cannot be in a shell and think you have the best product out there and that you're going to be successful. We have made several different changes. We've pivoted in our business model several times in order to be, make sure we're going in the right track. I have been very fortunate to be working at the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator, meeting some amazing people, working under the DWP folks. We have Amir, we have Dale, a lot of really good guys giving us guidance about all the things that are coming on for the plumbing, from the perspective of plumbing codes and other things that we need to be aware of in terms of certifications as well. So I think that is important because if you are not aware of some of these things, you are burning a lot of money going in the wrong direction as a startup company.
Yeah.
So having the right kind of network, asking a lot of questions and planning and making sure you have a product that fits the market and the industry that you're trying to get into. And that clarity is very important.
I think you have an interesting take on jumping off the bridge to go be an entrepreneur. And you're in a little bit, I'm going to talk a little bit about a different space of an entrepreneur, but like you jump off and you do it and you go, I've come this far. Why not turn back now? It's one of those things where like, sometimes it's better to be a little bit naive and a little bit in the dark about how tough being an entrepreneur is when you first jump out. Because maybe if you knew what you knew now, you might have been a little bit more afraid. But you probably also, if you knew what you knew now, maybe you would have said, hey, I wish I would have done this sooner. But there's a book called The Third Wave by Steve Case, who's the founder of AOL. I don't know if you've ever read this book, but he talks about the third wave of the internet. The first wave was like getting the internet accessible to people. People didn't have the internet. Now they had the internet. And that was, AOL, that was like Netscape, that was those type of businesses back in like the 80s, 90s. They were like the first wave of the internet technology startup companies. And then along came the second phase, which was now that the infrastructure had been kind of like laid, and people familiar with the internet, now along comes, the MySpaces, the Facebooks, the Instagram. And they were companies that you could found with one or two people, 3 or 4. You could work in your garage. You didn't need a lot of money and startup to bring a product to market. It was really just you work a lot of hours, write a lot of code, and you hope you provide something that people found of value and it took off and you went viral and you made a bunch of money off of it. Well, the third wave is regarding the Internet of Technology, Internet of Things. And it's the next leap forward. And it's about taking, now that the internet's out there, everybody's using it, there's an infrastructure for it. Now it's taking that and applying it to a bunch more things. And they're like, they could be things like the products you're working on that provide data usage of how you do things. It could be refrigerators that talk and order you milk when you run out, or it could be traffic, stuff that monitors how much traffic's flowing on the freeway, and it can, adjust, street lights and on-ramp signals and stuff like that to kind of balance the flow of traffic, or even to the point of self-driving cars. And that's a space where you can't do it as easily on your own without a lot of capital, because you're building a product that requires manufacturing, it requires distribution, it requires a lot of infrastructure. And so I think, it's an amazing space to be in, because it's a different take. You have ideas, but you can't necessarily implement them on your own. You're going to need big backing of really big companies like Cisco type companies that are going to invest in these startup technologies and ideas and see them take off. So, to me, it's a very bold move to just kind of go out there and go, hey, look, I got to build this product, build this company. But at the same time, it's not something that like you can be, making 10,000 sub-meters in your garage. You have to have connections and resources. So,
it is risky. It is very risky, but I think without the right kind of support and the right kind of guidance and the right people, I think having the right people around you and having the right team is critical, because you can make mistakes. I think it's inevitable, but recovering quickly and then making sure you're going on the right track quickly is important. Like, for example, even for the project that we did in Chino, I think getting the certifications quickly, getting things, we found a lot of, we were struggling in the middle because of other things that we couldn't control, but we somehow managed to find another place where we could get it certified quickly, again, meet the timelines. So it's a struggle, but it's always about finding ways, talking to a lot of people, connecting with multiple people who would then show you the path, go here, do this here, It has been a challenge, but now we've been wiser for the future. We have a lot of information now to do the right thing.
You learn a lot when you just hit the ground running. You
just have
encounter
to do it.
problems and you overcome them. So
Yeah, I've driven down to Sacramento a few times.
awesome. Well, I'm going to ask you a question before we wrap this up. I appreciate you getting on the call here with me. Where do you see Saya going in 5 years, and what does success mean to you?
I think number one, in 5 year time, I would like this company to scale to a level where it's acquired by a larger company, or we are able to employ a lot of people and be very successful. All the folks in my company, in my team, they all need to be successful and happy as a team. Success to me is not just about being acquired and all of that. It's about the whole team. The whole team is successful together, and we all need to see that we have gone from one level. It's a journey. Success to me is to make sure throughout the journey we are all together and achieving something together, and going to the next level together as a team. That's what I look at success.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, where can people find you at?
I am available. My office is at the Cleantech Incubator in downtown LA. It's the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator. My email is S as in Sam, P as in Peter, OOJARY @saya.life. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can look me up, Sanjay Poojary, and I'm always available to chat or discuss new ideas. And, if you have some suggestions on things we should do, I'm very happy.
Awesome. So I'll put those. I'll link that in the show notes. So if you want to get in touch with Sanjay, you can reach out. And I'd suggest, if you got ideas, or just want to know what's going on, he'd be a great resource to reach out to. So thanks a lot for coming on the show, Sanjay, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Make sure to visit our website, therealnatepeo.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, so you'll never miss an episode of All In. While you're at it, if you found value, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if simply tell 2 friends about the show. Looking to connect? You can find Nate Peo on LinkedIn or Instagram.